Hi, so this is going to be the first video of a series of 3 videos where I will recreate the same to-do API in 3 different frameworks. So in the first video here, I'm going to be looking at Django Ninja, and then in the second video, I will be looking at FastAPI, and in the third video, I will be looking at Flask. So in this video, again, I will be looking at Django Ninja. I have previous experience with Django. However, I've never worked with Django Ninja before. So I will be walking through the documentation and just following along and trying to create this app very first time. So there will be a little bit mistakes, and in the end of the video, I will actually be refactoring it just a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna start by implementing Django Ninja. So this is first time I'm gonna actually work with Django Ninja, so I'm quite excited to try that out. We're gonna start with a Django project. Make the CRUD Ninja. Okay. All right, here we go. So let's start by installing Django. And Django Ninja. So that's the 2 packages we're gonna use. And then open the shell. We're gonna start by doing Django admin start project, and I'm gonna call this CRUD API. Okay, and then I'm gonna cd into CRUD API. I'm gonna do from here. I'm gonna do Python manage.py start app, and I'm just gonna call this let's call it API. So let's see what's the steps. So we have our app. So I'm just gonna start by adding the app to my settings. So we're gonna do that in the installed files, app like so. Then I'm gonna create, so that's gonna be in the URLs. We're gonna add the Ninja API. So I'm gonna create a new file, urls.py. Then I'm gonna do from Django urls import path, and from Ninja import Ninja API like so. And then we're gonna define the API equals Ninja API like so. And then we're gonna do endpoint API.get. Gonna do add def add request to do string. For this app, I'm just gonna do a simple to do API. Return results, then to do. All right, so we're just gonna start with that, and then let me do my URL patterns. URL patterns. Gonna be a list path, and then we're gonna call this API. Oh, sorry. API and API.urls, and for this one, I need to add the URL patterns in my project URLs. So in here we're gonna import include, and then I'm gonna do path, and then include API.urls. All right, so this should actually be it for the most simple API endpoint. Let's just see if this actually works. Python manage.py run server. Okay, no module called app. Well, that's because I called it API. Ah yeah, here we go. So API, not app, it's API. And then okay. Okay, I have some, okay, unapply migration, let me just do Python manage.py migrate. Then let's try to run the server again. And then we should be able to see, let me see, the docs here. Let's try, see. All right, so we have the first endpoint, the add endpoint, which just takes a to do. Let's try, test, execute, and then we simply just get the to do returned like so. So obviously in the backend we can go ahead and actually add it to the database. Let's just continue with this documentation, see what else we got. Or for more complex item model. So we have something called a schema. Okay, so if I create a class to do, and then what schema? So that I guess we have to import this or not schema. We're gonna pass in a title and then yes, let's say a description. And then we can go ahead and see to do is not a string, but it's a to do. And then let's see. Okay, we didn't get any errors. That's good. So just see if that worked. Let's refresh. All right, that's pretty cool. So by defining the to do as a schema, as a class like so, we can pass that in as an object or as the type, and then it will automatically expect the title and the description of the to do. And if we do try it out, then we say to do one and then description, and then execute. Cannot have head, or get cannot have a body. All right. Well, all right. So this is a get request, right? So we want to actually do this as a post, and then I'm gonna do. I feel like I want to do create instead, like so, and then create. So I'm just gonna change this to create. So we have our sort of first endpoint, right? So let's just go ahead and try again. So we have a post now, and then let's see if this works. Test, test, and then execute. Yeah, so now we got a response body actually, and maybe instead of, yeah, I mean that then we can just return it as a, I guess a to do maybe. And let's try refresh again once more. Try it out and then test, test. All right, that's cool. So here basically what you would do is, right, you will call the database, right? So to do call database. Okay, so let's try and create our get so API dot get get, and then I will do def get request. Okay, so let's define a to do class to do models dot model. And then we say title models dot let's just do a char field. Max length, and then we do a description. Okay, so that's our very basic and simple to-do model. So let's do Python manage.py and then make migrations, and then we do migrate. Okay, and then we should be able to import. So let's see, we got if we go back here to our create endpoint. So if I go and import, so from API.models import to do, and then what we can do is to do objects. This will conflict, so we do to do in, and then to do objects dot create, and then what do they do? Payload. Okay. To do in, and then it's called payload. Star payload dot dict return ID to do dot ID. Okay. So that's our first. Let's see if this works. So I'm gonna run this endpoint again. And actually, I'm just gonna create a super user. So Python manage.py create super user. Yeah. All right. And then let's see. We got this one, and then admin. Then we just need to register. Admin site register. Then to do, just need to from API.models import to do. So we'll just see that we got it here. Okay, so let's try the endpoint now actually. So we got the create endpoint. So I'm just gonna call this to do one and to do one. And we got a response ID 1. Let's see if that worked. Here we go. We got the to do object. Oh, that's cool. That's pretty easy. Okay. What's next? So we're gonna do a create, and then we're gonna retrieve. Okay. So here they're gonna do a, hold on, single object. Now to get employee, we will define a schema that will describe what our responses will look like. Here we will basically use the same schema as employee in, but with an extra attribute ID. Okay, so I will copy this one, call it to do out, and then I will add an ID as an integer. Out like that, and then we will have our get. We have that one here. Yeah, okay. So get. So maybe give. Okay, so let maybe give it a more verbose name that makes sense. So create to do. Or maybe just to do and to do. And here we will pass in the to do ID like so. And then response to do out create, I'll call this to create to do, and then get to do. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna do to do equals, so from Django dot shortcuts import get object of 404. So we're gonna do get object of 404. We will pass in the employee. So that's the to do. Sorry, we'll pass in the to do, and then ID equals. I'm just gonna call this one to do ID, and then return to do. So I guess this one, so this to do object will be returned as the to do out. So that will be with ID, title, and description. So let's see if this works. And I get a error here. So field required. We got our API endpoint here. So we have the to do ID, and we can see that the response here is the one, this the schema that we defined just before. So that's nice. Let's try it out with 1, and yeah, so we can see that we get ID 1 and then to do 1. So that works well. Okay, to output a list of employees, we can reuse the same employee out schema. We'll just send the response schema to a list of employee out. Okay, so we're gonna do from typing import list, and then we'll just copy this one here and remove this, and then call it get to do's, and then what was it? This one response is going to be a list of to do out, and then we will define a query set. Query set equals to do objects all, and then we'll return the query set like so. So let's just first of all create another one. So I'll create to do 2 like this, execute, and let's get, so I think, hold on, to do, yeah, this one don't need a to do ID, so I'll remove that. Refresh again. Oh. Try it out, execute, and here we go. So we have a list of all of our to-dos. That is very nice. Okay. Then we have an update. So update is pretty trivial. We just use the put method and also pass employee ID. Okay. I will do this one here. Copy this one. So API dot put, and then all this will remain the same. I'll just remove the response, and then update to do, and that one takes a request, to do ID, and then a payload, and that's the to do in. And that's the same we got from the create up here. And then we're gonna get the object. So I'm just gonna copy the to do from, oh, we actually have that already. So to do, get object of 404, and then for attribute value in payload dot dict dot items. Oh, that's wrong. dot items, set attribute, to do attribute and value, and then we're gonna save the model, the to do dot save, and then return an appropriate response. Success true. All right, let's see if that works. So I'm gonna go back to the Ninja app. I have the put, so I will pass in the ID of number 1, and I'm gonna change, yeah, I will change this to do 3. Execute. Success true. Let's just go to the admin, see what we got. So this one says to do 3 and to do 3, so that worked. That was very easy. Lastly, we're gonna do an delete endpoint. So that seems to be almost the same. So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy the the put endpoint here, and this one I will do api.delete, and we have the to-do and the to-do ID, and then delete takes request to-do, and then no payload. Yes, and then we're gonna get the to-do like this. That's gonna remain the same. Actually, just delete it. Oh, delete like so, and then return success. Let's try that out. Okay, so we have the delete endpoint. I'm gonna pass in, let's say, number 1. Execute. It has been successful. Let's just check in the back end. And here we go. We only have 1 left, so that's actually it. So this was really easy and very, very simple. And this almost reminds me of FastAPI when I worked with that a long time ago. My only issue here is that now all these endpoints has been defined in the URL. So I wonder if that's necessary. I'm actually not sure. So maybe I would go ahead and actually try to clean this up a bit. Actually, I would like all this to live in my API app. So now I created the CRUD API, but I want it to live in the API app. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to move all of these endpoints to my API app. And I probably should have done this from the beginning, but I was a little bit unsure actually how all this works, but it seems to actually work. I just tested it out here. And I'm just gonna move all of these endpoints now over to this folder. And I mean, I don't necessarily think that you need to add it in the URLs folder, but I guess it makes sense since, I mean, it is URLs, right? So I would just do that, and I register the app like so. And for the schema, I think I will do another folder. I'm gonna call this schema. No, sorry, I'm gonna do another folder. Actually, I'm gonna do a file, so I'm gonna do schema.py. And then I will add my to-do schema, and I will import the Ninja schema like so. And then I will also get the out. Like this. Okay, this one I don't need, and this is redundant. Like so. Remove this, remove this. I need that one. Remove include. So this one I will add in here. I'll add that above. And I need schema import to do in and then to do out. And then I'm gonna do from typing import list, and I think that is all to it. So let's see if this works. refresh. Okay, so that didn't seem to work, so maybe we need to add this one actually in there. Okay, let's try. Okay, path, Django UL's path, and then yeah, API. I think I'll rewrite this one to Ninja API actually, because I call my app API, so that might be conflicting. I'm just gonna rename all of these to Ninja API. And then in my project, I will include remove this. Then I will do include API.urls. Maybe I remove this one like this. Okay. Let's see if this works. Oh, please work. There we go. It fucking works. All right, cool. So what did I do? This went a little bit fast. So I have my project, the CRUD API, and I have my app. So this one could be your existing project, right? And if you want to implement and add some API endpoints, you can create a new app or use an existing app. So in this example, I used my API app. Keep in mind that you probably don't want to call it API, because before, and I had to spend some time to figure this out, there was some conflicts, because you have to initialize the Ninja API, and from the documentation they use API, and when I imported it like this, include API.urls, there was some conflicts because this app name and the Ninja API had the same name. So to combat that, I've simply just called Ninja API, and then I have all these endpoints, and I've created a UL pattern. So this one is then included in my project down here. So with include API.urls, and you can see that now it's available to add the API/to-do and so on, like before. So that's actually all that is to it. And I would say that this experience, keep in mind this is the first time I'm looking at Ninja API, and yeah, it was a little bit tricky in the beginning, but I think this was actually really easy. And obviously there's more to it than this, but just the fact that they have this documentation automatically generated, and the use of Pydantic through the schema seems really well put together, and seems to work really well. So so far this is really nice. Let's try this same app but with FastAPI. So that's all there is to it actually. I think that this experience with Django Ninja, especially when I have experience with Django before, was extremely easy. And I think this is actually something I would consider using for my own projects. In the next video, I'll be looking at FastAPI and then kind of do a comparison and see the differences and see how easy or difficult it is to create exactly the same API